My name is Micheal. I am a woodworker slash could be considered an artist. I'm still a bit iffy about that term. A few people throw it around, but I think if I were to consider myself something, I would say I'm more of a maker. I tinker, just kind of mess around, experiment, and build stuff. It's kind of mostly woodworking, but it goes far beyond that. I love like a good DIY project, home improvement, and just like understanding how things work, taking them apart, fixing them, all that good stuff. So essentially it was, I don't know if it was a Nintendo 64, it might have been a PlayStation 1 or 2, but I stopped working and I just went to town, like taking it apart. And as a kid, like I'd say this was probably around 7, 8, I had no plans. You're not tracing where screws are coming from, you're just taking them out and putting them aside. I took it apart, couldn't put it back together, and then got beat by my grandparents for like destroying. So that was essentially the way it all started, and that continued. Like I would take apart my toys, and it was always like, oh, you have a destructive nature, but it was never about destroying. It was like a natural curiosity that I didn't know how to better feed. So it just resulted in taking stuff apart, and then that was it, just leaving it apart because I can't fix it. I took woodworking in high school, as I think a lot of people do, and from that time on I was like, oh my god, this is really cool. Like you're building stuff, you get to see results essentially right away, and I always wanted to go into woodworking, but it's not the most accessible hobby in terms of you need machinery, you need materials, so that just kind of got thrown to the back burner until I became an adult, and then you get some disposable income, and then all of a sudden your hobbies start to pick up a bit more steam. And the way I specifically got into woodworking is I remember I needed to cut like a 2x4 in half to make a plant shelf when I moved to Yellowknife. And then I found Makerspace, which is the main reason I do so much of what I do. It's been great to have this community space, but yeah, I came to cut that piece of wood and I was like, oh my god, I have access to all these tools, all this equipment. I could make some stuff. And it just started with small little jobs, like I was making some plant stands. It came out of necessity, so making things that I need. So plant stands for my plants because I couldn't find the right sizes, then making some, shelving, and then it just kind of branched out. I became fully obsessed with it. Now it's basically consumed my whole life, my whole bank account, everything. But I wouldn't change it for anything. It's so great. It's helped me meet a lot of people in the community, and it's nice to be able to kind of give back to the community in that sense from getting this space. It's not something I take for granted. Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Sweet.
James.
Hey.
Okay, I just need to check this time. That's a bit heavy already. You can go less. That was good. That line right there, that wiggle. James, I'm just gonna adjust these a little bit. Basically blew the whole budget on glue, James. And then what you did to the top with the putty knife, you're gonna do to the bottom. You just need one. You don't need both putty knives. Don't be selfish, James. No, it's not going anywhere. It's gonna be a family heirloom cutting board. You should keep it for yourself. You should treat yourself,
Just make another one.
I guess you could.
What are you doing next week?
What am I doing next week? Giving you glue, I guess. I would say the cutting boards for sure. I really just enjoy the process of it. That's the class I've also taught the most. I enjoy it on a personal level just because like they're all unique, they're all different. But then I also enjoy that so many other people enjoy it, right? It's like I said, you get to create something unique. You get to see it from start to finish. That instant gratification means so much for me, and it seems for other people. So I really enjoy the boards. I've made more boards than I care to count. I don't need 20 cutting boards, but I've probably made close to 30, 40, and they're fun. Unless you're James Thomas, and then you're done. One board and done, that's it. Yeah, for me, I fully decided I don't want to monetize this. And I know that is a privilege to be able to say that, but like I fully recognize it. I've decided woodworking is strictly a hobby. Most of the stuff I've made, I've given out. I haven't sold that many things. I've done a few commission pieces here and there, but for the most part, what's more important for me is the process of making and then sharing that with other people. So I wouldn't say there's a balance. I'm just making zero money, probably negative. I've probably spent easily $10,000 on this hobby in 2 years, and that's just the way it is. I've decided, at least for now in this time, I don't need to make money. I'm just very comfortable keeping it as a experimenting process, a therapy process, a creative process, and that's it. And who's to say that could change in a few years, in a few months, but as of right now, I'm super content just messing around, playing, and then that's how I do it. It's not sustainable for sure, but it works for now. And I think like a lot of artists, when they start out, and makers can relate to that, like you're just doing it for the love of the craft, and then eventually it might become unsustainable just in terms of, you buying materials, having to figure out how to make up the time. But in this right now, there's no balance. There's just net zero, not even net negative. I think just as a kid who loved to tinker, who loved to be creative, I've tried almost any hobby you can name. Photography was actually one of the first ones. I remember getting my first camera. It was 2014. I was working at Winners at the time. I got my first paycheck and I was like, oh baby, $500, let's go. And I've always been just like intrigued by photography and how, you're able to communicate so many different things to different people. It's subjective, but also at the same time, it's not. Like there is a unique message, right? So there's a few photographers I followed in Ottawa. I lived in Ottawa at the time, and I just wanted to try and recreate some of the stuff they were doing. There was a lot of street style, so portraits of people, like waiting for the bus, city stuff, like, the hype beast, Street Dreams mag type of stuff. So I was walking by Henry's and I said, you know what? I don't need this money to do anything else. Why don't we go buy a camera? So I walked in and I bought a Canon T5i way back when. Yeah, OGs know, with the touchscreen and So then I just started shooting every day. My camera was always in my backpack. I'd go on the way to university, I'd be shooting. I'd walk home, I'd take the long way to keep shooting. And I just became obsessed with, I think that's a theme. I just become obsessed with things. Like I just fully dive in, like you said. I don't say, I don't test the water, I just go right in. So I just started shooting a lot. And then I became like fairly good at it and started doing it for money. And that's kind of when things took a turn. Like we talked about commercializing your hobbies. You have to, there's a certain type of person who can just lock in and be like, you know what, I can commercialize this and it can still be a hobby. I find it rare. Most creatives I've talked to is once it's commercialized, it's kind of over. So I started taking some jobs. I did some international jobs. I was like a travel photographer in the Dominican Republic, in Cuba. I did a few events. I did galas and stuff like that. And then it just started to suck because now I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it because I have to do it, right? So I fell out of love for it. And I've never really been able to get back to that level of amazement and just obsession with photography. But every once in a while I take out my camera. I'm fortunate enough that I work in the consulting industry, so that led to a lot of travel. So a lot of those pictures you were talking about were from remote camps up in Nunavut. It's stuff that's super, super cool, like a plane landing on a gravel runway, like the dashes, like Air Tindy planes are so cool. Helicopters, an ice road on the middle of the Arctic Ocean. So stuff like that really inspired me to pick up my camera again. And then I was shooting film, and there's just another added level of I don't know how this is gonna turn out. It's for the love of the game, and that's what drives me, the love of the game. So I started shooting film up north, and it just turned out, it looked good. This was at a time where I was coming through Yellowknife, so I was rotational. So that drone shot you talk about was, This was August 2021. I was coming through Yellowknife and I had nothing to do. I brought my drone. It was a work drone, so it wasn't supposed to be flying around Yellowknife Bay. It was for work up north. And I was like, you know what, let's take it out. And I took it out, flew over the bay, or the lake, I guess you should say. And to this day, I didn't like realize what was going on. I was just like, oh, there's little tiny shacks in the middle of the water, which is such a weird, charming Yellowknife thing that you can't really explain unless you've seen it. And I took that picture and then I sat on it, never did anything with it. It was just like the background on my MacBook. Ainsley at the gallery was throwing like a Yellowknife exhibition, and Josh Uson I met at the gym, was like, hey, I've seen some of your stuff and I know you're a fellow creative. Why don't you throw some stuff in there? And then I did throw that picture in there, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And now that I understand and appreciate the houseboats, it's such a even more meaningful picture to have. But yeah, other than that, I don't do too much photography anymore. I try to, every once in a while, I'll go for a drone flight or I'll take some pictures of my stuff. I have like 1 or 2 weddings coming up in the fall, but other than that, it got commercialized and it just kind of fell off. I did deep dive into them and then I just kind of stopped. So it was during COVID, and I got into houseplants. I know, not unique, a lot of people did, but at my peak, I owned like 70 houseplants back in Ottawa. Like I knew all the Latin names, how to care for every one of them, where they were, what conditions they needed. So I like got deep into the weeds with that, no pun intended. And then it was absolutely crazy. It became an obsession. Now it's kind of fallen off. I do still own a good amount of houseplants, not as many, but the one thing I do like from all these hobbies is the knowledge I gain. So I still know, all these plant names and plant families and all the stuff, how to take care of them, even though I'm not as into it anymore. So that was for 2-3 years. That was pretty hardcore. Like I would go to rare plant sales in Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal, trying to find like cool plants. I got pretty into like macrame. So just like, but once again, it came out of necessity. I needed to make like plant hangers. And then I just started making other things, making like fruit baskets, making lamps, just deep dive into it. But it got boring. Like it's the same thing. It's a bit repetitive. And not to say like all fiber arts are repetitive, but for me, it just felt like it was always doing the same thing, tying the same knots. I think those are the only like 2 I've gotten into that I've kind of fallen off with photography. There's so many things I want to do in this world. Like I want to do it all. At the end of the day, I want to be a maker, making everything. I want to learn to code eventually, but it's like I'm really bad when I'm not good at something. I don't try. Like it just puts me off. So every day or every few days, I'll be like, you know what? I should pick up coding because it would be so cool to merge it into woodworking in some capacity. That's another cool thing, like merging the worlds together, merging hobbies. It's just such a bad habit. If I'm not good at something immediately, it just tends to just get pushed to the side. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's one specific magma opus, but I would say I have a few things I would definitely like to accomplish, especially as I build my skills and get better. I really want to build like furniture. So I do want to build tables. I want to build, a bed frame, all that good stuff at a certain point. I don't really have a timeline on it, but that's something I want to do. When I first started out, actually, even before I started woodworking, it was a common thing. I would get drunk and what I would tell my friends is, I want to make furniture. I want to quit my job and make furniture. So that's always been like the goal, is to make furniture. And I guess like the things I make could be considered furniture, but they're at a very small scale. I want to create like just custom designs. And with that comes learning how to design, following ratio rules, materials, making them go all together. So that's like the biggest thing for me, is leveling up from the smaller things to the bigger things. Also seeing it in someone's space. So if someone was like, hey, can you make me a table? And it was already a table I wanted to make and they're just willing to pay for materials. That is like the ideal thing, right? I was gonna make it anyway, but now you're paying for me to play. You're paying for my materials. You don't have to pay for my labor. And then I make you whatever you want. And then another one that it's on the back burner because, so woodworking is very broad. There's so many types of woodworking, but the 2 I like to classify it into is there's machine woodworkers and then there's hand tool woodworkers. I really want to learn how to use hand tools I put it off so much because, like I said, I like the instant gratification. So with machines, it's just so much quicker. But I think there is a certain calm, a certain trust the process in using hand tools, a certain beauty in like seeing things slowly taking shape. Especially, you know, things go so fast these days. We're very much go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. So at a certain point, I would like to just sit down, take some time to make some stuff with hand tools. But then that requires time. And like you said, we only have so little of that. It's trying to strike that balance between making, learning, but also having time for other things, which I already do a pretty bad job. Like I spend so much time here, so that would make me spend even more time here. But yeah, those would be the two goals: to make furniture and to learn to use hand tools. But you'll learn, that's the thing, that you can, there's so much content. So I'm fully self-taught. Everything I know, I've learned from either Reels University or Facebook College, right? Like, so everything is online, it's there. I think that's one positive about the very modern world we live in. There's so many resources online, you know, a lot of stuff. I've learned so much from Reddit. I've learned so much just from the most weird pockets of the internet. So if you wanted to have a little work shed, you easily could. You could even like mix in like some blacksmithing, some welding, you know, like just anything. It's totally possible. It's just that time component. None of this would be possible without Makerspace. So it is a community space in the heart of Yellowknife. It's got a full-fledged wood shop. We've got an art space, so if you're sewing, painting, what have you, and then there's a digital space. And all this works on a membership, I guess, process. Community is something that's very important to me. I started volunteering here, so I started eventually just as a shop volunteer, just helping build some stuff around the space, like that clamp wall or that pegboard back there. And then I realized how meaningful this space is and the potential it has. I can't say enough good things about this space. I know it's very underutilized. People don't know how to interact with it because, like, it's Yellowknife. First of all, we're all busy, so it's hard to, you know, try and find time to dive into something. But it's a space where you can come to make, where you can come to chill, be creative. There's so many programs that are offered. For me, I teach a few classes, so I've taught a few cutting board classes. I've done some picture frame classes, just trying to make making more accessible and share these skills. And there's other people who run, you know, like 3D printing workshops, laser printer, all sorts of things. So it's just a great space where you can come and make. It's just a very cool space to come create. I wish it was more talked about, more known about. I know there's discussion on how to, you know, make it more out there so more people can come interact with it. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of this place, and I can't say enough good things about it. It's been such a godsend for me to be able to just come here and work on the craft. So this, I know I talked about not doing commission pieces, but this is like my first commission piece. Maybe we'll do like 1 or 2 a month, but like nothing crazy. And even with it, I didn't charge that much. I essentially just charged for materials, but it is an end grain cutting board for my friend Jamie, for her friend Nolene, for a housewarming. So that's just like another cool level. It's going multiple steps. So this, oh boy. So this is essentially like a bookshelf, bookstop combination. It's flat pack. I saw something similar. Actually, not that I saw it, it was sent to me. So that's a big thing that happens these days is because I post so much of my story, everyone's always sending me woodworking content. They're like, make this, can you make this? I bet you could make this. So my friend Paula sent something similar like this to me. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I have to make it. But it was more basic than this. It was just essentially like a plank. And then there was inserts for one end, so it stays sitting. And then on this side, you have an adjustable stop. So the idea is you put your books in between here, or you can put them on this side too. You can put a little trinket, but then it adjusts to how many books you have. And then I was like, you know what? Let's make it my own. So then I decided to cut all these lines in and then fill them with this, it's, I believe, mahogany. And I had to sit, I think it was 2-3 hours, and insert every single piece, which took quite some time. But it's definitely one of my favorite pieces I've made, and there was not really a reason for it. I just wanted to do it, so I did it. And I think that's like what I really like about woodworking is, if I wanted to just do it, I can do it. There are some times where there's higher stakes, like if I mess up, it's expensive material, but a crazy way I like to think about it is if I mess up, it's just firewood. It doesn't matter, I can burn it. So yeah, this came just out of curiosity and wanting to play and see like what I can make something functional look like. So yeah, that's kind of what this is.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that X?
This X, that's a good question. So there's a crack through the middle here. So I put in this X to stabilize it, and it goes across the grain. So essentially it stops the crack from getting bigger. And then I just wanted to do something a bit aesthetic. So I did the X. It could easily have just been one line, but I figured an X would look a bit more intriguing. So I guess, yeah, this is it. By the time this video's out, I hopefully will be done, so I guess I can say what it is. It's gonna be a lampshade. So I'm working on making a lamp and a lampshade, and this is essentially just the top part. And I wanted to experiment with these. This is veneer, so it's just like a thin wood, and see how that kind of works with light. I figured having some sort of pattern would be a draw, physically and visually, but then also having wood would really diffuse the light, so it would be like a very cozy type of lamp. You know, just a little heat, just a little tiny bit, yeah. So it's a lot more challenging than I thought it was gonna be, so there's a lot of troubleshooting to do, like how to get it a bit more flexible. I have a few ideas, but that's the thing with woodworking, it's troubleshooting on the go. There's rarely a time where I plan what I'm building. I don't know if you've heard the term vibe coding. That's what I do with woodworking. It's essentially like when software engineers they just code. There's no like plan, and that's what I do with woodworking. I just kind of go for it and figure it out as I go. So I saw this on one of the YouTubers I watch. She made essentially a hook for coats, for hats, for whatever. And one thing that is really sought after in woodworking is continuous grain. So that's when you're able to make something, but you don't lose the shape and feel of the wood. So I really wanted to challenge myself and see if I could make that work, and that's kind of how this piece came about. So it's one piece of wood that was cut in different widths. So I have one width for the pegs on which things hang, and then a different for the stationary piece, and then it's just every two it's repeating. A lot of people had asked me how it works. It's pretty simple. There's a dowel. You see it on this side, and it just goes all the way through, so then it allows the pegs to pivot, but then they lock at the bottom because there's a 45-degree angle. It was a prototype for a much bigger one I'd like to make. I just wanted to see kind of how it worked, if it was possible first, and then the goal is to make a much larger one. There is no need for me to make this. Once again, it's just making it for the fun of it. This one will actually be going to my friends in Ottawa, because they were the ones that responded to the story that they wanted it. So yeah, it's just making for the hell of it, making for fun. I think, yeah, that's a good point you raised. Like, so many people I've talked to have so many projects they want to work on. We all enjoy creating. I think at our core, like, we're creative beings. So people want to make, they want to use their hands, the analog feel. What I would say is just be curious, get in here, ask questions. Most of the people I've talked to in here, it's just out of curiosity. I see them making something, like, hey, what are you making? And then we get to talking, and then we can bounce ideas off each other. So it's let's get back to that community feel, right? It's gotten very individualistic, and that's really hurting us. So just be curious and want to talk to other people. Like, we are communal beings, we're meant to be together. So yeah, just really focus on that. That is the biggest thing for me, is although I'm making for myself, I'm making for community. I'm making to feel a part of community. I'm making to be community. So at the end of the day, let's just get back to talking to each other. Let's get back to being curious. Let's want to know how things work. And yeah, the rest will hopefully sort itself out.